Okay, so I want to go over how to encode the binary numbers. So what we're looking at, and if you notice on this page, there are dots, like there are boxes that have, like, on the right side it starts with 1 dot, then 2, then 4, then 8. They double as they go. The way we're going to actually draw them off, I want to show you the way you're going to see them drawn off. And let me change my pen to black. The way you're going to see these drawn off is going to look more like this, and they're not going to put the dots in there. So what we're going to do, make that a little bit shorter, what we're going to do to always know what each block represents is we're going to take, I always do this, and just write the number below it. Or above it is fine, either one. But you start at the far right, and that block represents 1 always, and then you double it. So it doubles to 2, it doubles to 4, and it doubles to 8. Now this one in particular is called a 4-bit, and a 4-bit means there are 4 blocks. If it's a 5-bit, there will be 5 blocks, and we'll look at those in just a minute, and 6 bits, and so on. And you can go all the way up to 32 bits. I'm not going to give you any that large to do because it would just take forever to do those, but probably as high as I would go is maybe 7 or 8. So we're going to look on this lesson, on this sheet, how to do a 4-bit and a 5-bit and a 6-bit, and then from that you can do any of them. Just remember they always start with each block on the right side counting 1, and then double 2, 4, 8, and then you would go on up to 16 and 32 and 64 and so forth. So what we're going to look at is binary means 2. So we looked at this a little bit last week where we had, earlier in the week, when we had the yellow and black circles, or what we're looking at is 2 things, and it's either off and on, or true and false, or yes or no. We're looking at 2 things that a computer can determine one or the other. So what we're going to do on these bits is, if we fill it in black, I want you to think about it like a light switch. It's turned off and it doesn't count. So it's in the dark and it doesn't count. Only the ones that are white, that are lit up, those are considered like a light switch on, and those are the only ones that are active. So if we look at the first question, what is the lowest number you can make? Well, if you darkened in, and here I go again with the red, if you darkened in every one of those and you turned everything off, then the lowest number you could make is 0, because nothing would be active, nothing would be on, so that would be 0. What is the highest number you can make? Well, if you go back and you leave everything open, everything turned on, then you would combine the 8, the 4, the 2, and the 1s by adding together. So 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 15. So we're going to make different numbers based on what's turned off and on. All right, let's skip down to the bottom and look at these questions right down here. Okay, so number 1 says, how many legs does an insect have? And we know that answer to be 6. So we're going to have to code that by shading in the squares. Well, go back and look at the one I drew at the top. If each square is represented by 1 starting on the right side, and then 2, and then 4, and then 8, if we want to represent 6, then we need the 4 and the 2, because that adds up to 6. So for number 1, I would darken in the first one and the last one to turn those off, which would leave the 4 and the 2 on, which would be 6. Okay, number 2. What grade are you in? Well, we're in the 8th grade. So if I look at my numbers, if I want the 8 to be the answer, then I need to darken in the 4, the 2, and the 1. So I'm going to darken in the 2nd square, and the 3rd square, and the 4th square. Okay, number 3, how many sisters and brothers do you have? Well, that's going to be different for you all. I'll just do mine, and you can do your own. I have 2. I have 1 sister and 1 brother. So if I'm going to make 2 the answer, then I only want to leave the 3rd square open. I want to cover up or darken in the 8, the 4, and the 1. So I would darken the 8, the 4, and the 1, which leaves 2 as the answer. Okay, I'm not going to do number 4. We're just going to mark it out and move on to the next page. Okay, on the back side, we're going to do 5 bits. So 5 bits has 5 blocks. And you can see just like they have them over there. And they have written in the numbers. Starting on the far right is 1, and then it doubles to 2, and then 4, and then 8. And the question says, in this 5-bit system, what number should go in the leftmost box? And that would be 16. Okay, and so number 2, how would you make 16? So we want us to shade in. Well, 16 is the first block, so I would darken in the 8, 4, 2, and 1. So I'm going to darken in the 8, the 4, the 2, and the 1. Okay, the second one is how would you make 27? So up here looking at my numbers, how to make 27, I would need 16 plus 8 plus 2 plus 1. So I'm just going to darken in the 4. And the last one, how would you make 31? Well, 31 is what you get when you add 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. So we're going to leave everything on. That means don't darken in anything on 31. Okay, 6-bit numbers is the next one. And so I'm going to write these numbers underneath. They've already got my 6 squares here, so we start on the right with 1, and then 2, and then 4, and then 8, and then 16, and then 32. So number 1 says, in a 6-bit number system, what is the biggest number you can make? Well, if you add all of these together, 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, you get 63. All right, and then number 2, the number for most skips by a dog and person in 1 minute is 59. How would you encode 59? So if we want 59 to be encoded, then what would add up to 59? Well, if everything added up is 63, we would just take out the 4, and that would leave 59, because 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 2 plus 1 does add up to 59. So that would be the answer to number 2. Now, the bottom of the worksheet we're not going to complete because they left off the actual pictures. And so we were supposed to have pictures to go with these to figure out what the answers were. I'm going to do some examples with you on your Friday work, and so I will post a video because the stuff that you're doing here, like number 2, you will have to do that on a quiz next week. So your Friday work is just 6 problems just like this, and I will post a video showing you the answers and how to do those. If you have any trouble with those, you can look at that. So you can mark out the rest of the worksheet because the pictures, they didn't include those on the worksheet. I think they just forgot to. And then the reflection we don't have to do. And that will be your lesson for today.